Okay, this is a supplementary video to the ones I've previously done, kind of outlining some of the additions that I've done to the T810 project. You can find a forum posting on multirotorforums.com. It's titled T810 build, so you can go there and kind of see how it started and where we're at currently today. But this video is to kind of summarize everything that's been going on with it, or what we've done, how it's progressing, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be kind of brief and it's going to move kind of quickly, so without further ado, let's get this party started. So with this build, I'm running the Tarot T810 airframe and the Tarot 5D2 gimbal. If you look at the build page, you'll kind of see how things started and whatnot. But here I'm running my Sony A33. I'm running the HDMI out, and it's fed to an audio-video HDMI converter. So basically, it's this little dude right here. It's kind of hard to see. It's kind of in the shadow of everything, but you can purchase this thing on Amazon for about 22 bucks. It's relatively inexpensive. The one note with it, if you're going to use it in this manner, you do need power, so be prepared to wire it into a UBEC of some sort. And with it does, like I said, require power, and the connection is a mini USB port. So what I did was I basically hacked up a mini USB cable and put a receiver plug on the other end for just power only, and it gets plenty of power with 5.1 volts, and you know, it works just fine. Now, as far as the other things I've done, all the wires are loomed and ready to go. I'm running the Immersion RC 250 milliwatt video transmitter. It's going to be plenty for what I need. There have been reports where these things get, you know, several kilometers of range out of the 250 milliwatt. So that's the reason why I opted with that. Just as long as the antenna selection is good and your placement of the video transmitter is good. You know, the key to that is, you know, you do have to have pretty good line of sight with it. You know, unobstructed views of things. You know, make sure that your antenna isn't sitting behind something when you're operating your multi-rotor or vehicle. One thing too, purchased a Flytron IR transmitter for the purpose of triggering the IR sensor on my Sony camera here. Well, I don't think they mesh too well. I don't think it's the Flytron though. I think it's the IR sensor on the camera. It's relatively small, and it's not very consistent in how it operates. It might operate maybe 10% of the time, and that's just not good enough for me. So what I opted to do is I found a nice little device out on the net. It's called a CamRemote, and what it does is it occupies an additional channel, probably the exact same channel as the Flytron does, but instead of using an IR transmitter to trigger the camera, it uses the remote port on the camera to trigger your shutter or your focus or whatever. Now I don't believe it triggers the different modes of the camera, like video, or to switch between video mode and camera mode. I don't think it does that. I'm not 100% certain of that, but from what I've read about it, I don't think it does. The current setup I've got going right now is I'm running two Free Sky X8Rs on this particular setup, and the reason for that is because before I was running two transmitters, you know, and which is fine. You know, running two transmitters is probably ideal because then you can have one person can focus on flying, the other person can focus on framing the shot. But whereas I'm a one-person operation, it's kind of difficult to operate two transmitters at once. So I did a little research on the solution, and the solution was to bind two receivers to one transmitter, which works great because then you have 16 channels that you can operate off of. The difference between most gimbals and this one, and there's I believe a Cinestar makes one of these type of gimbals where the entire frame, landing gear, gimbal assembly rotates 360 degrees. That poses a problem for running you know, a single transmitter, single receiver setup for this, because then you would have to run wires and stuff to your gimbal, and it's almost impossible because, well, not almost, it is impossible unless you completely disable the pan capabilities of your gimbal, because your wires would get tangled up and whatnot from the receiver that sits on your airframe. So running two receivers that are bound to your transmitter is definitely the best option, because then you separate your gimbal frame and your airframe from having any wires that are tying them together. The last thing I'd like to talk about is my antenna holder that I purchased off of shapeways.com. It's a 3D printed item. It's about $22, and it works really well. It seems to you know, hold the antenna leads just perfectly. Now, the one thing I would suggest is buying the cover, which I did later. It's an extra piece and it's an extra cost. I think it ended up being about $10 shipped. So grand total for this thing is about $30 some odd for the mount. Like I said, it's kind of costly, but there isn't anything out there that I've found that works as well. The quality of the 3D printed part is outstanding. I had a 3D printed battery cover for my Phantom made when mine broke, and it wasn't this good, so I'm assuming that they probably upped their quality process by getting higher quality printers or something, but it worked out really well. Like I said, it's about $22 without the cover, and I had to put in some double-sided tape back here to fix these. But other than that, like I said, I'm running a Castle Creations UBEC to power everything. It's a 20 amp jobber, and I don't foresee me ever using the full 20 amp capability, but it also gives me the ability to set what type of voltage is going to the system. So it's a nice piece. You can look those up. Just do a Google search for Castle Creations and you can find this one. Other than that, you know, it's still a work in progress, and we're making strides forward. So anyway, like I said, multirotorforums.com. Look up for the T810 build, and you'll pretty much see everything that's been happening up until now. Anyway, talk to you later.